record it. Okay. The step 2 is that we have a machloikis in the Gemara before that Rabbi Yehuda has an opinion like this. Before Pesach starts, let's say at the 6th hour in the afternoon, you're not allowed to eat chametz, and you're not allowed to have chametz. You're not allowed to benefit from chametz. If you do, you get a lav, like soichel olav chametz. While you're shechting the korban Pesach, you're not allowed to have chametz in your possession or eat chametz.
Somebody just texted, "Where is the link?"
Oh boy. Okay.
Some guy named Lewis.
Yes. Oh, okay. Let me. Yes. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Okay. I'm so sorry. I forgot to. Hold on.
It's the same link every single time.
Yeah. Did it? But, I guess he doesn't realize it. Let me just text everybody. Okay.
Yeah, because all you have to do is go into Zoom and click the down arrow, and you go right into your previous room. Yeah, it's not an issue. You don't have to know the number anymore.
Okay. Okay. 2 people. Okay. Okay. Okay, everybody started again.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening, Bernard.
Good evening. Okay. Sorry, I forgot. It's always the same link, always the same passcode ID, but I'll send it out on every WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay. Our daf today is daf Chof Tes, and we're just discussing this Mishnah. The Mishnah says that chametz shel nachri she'aval of a Pesach mutbar no. A chametz of a goy, right? It's a goy's chametz, and Pesach after Pesach, it passed through Pesach. After Pesach, a Jew is permitted to benefit from that. Like a chametz from Stop and Shop or whatever. V'shel Yisrael, if it's a Jew's chametz, for example, wall bombs, also bahna. A Jew cannot have a no from it. Okay? Shinama, because the pasuk says, Lo yoreh l'chosar, you're not allowed to have in your possession chametz. So the Mishnah is a little cryptic, and we're going to explain the author of the Mishnah. But first, you have to know that we learned yesterday in yesterday's daf that the Gemara set it up that there are 3 opinions over here. Rabbi Yehuda says on the Isser of chametz, before Pesach starts, a person is over a lav. You're not allowed, let's say when you're burning the chametz already, you're not allowed to eat chametz, and you're not allowed to benefit from chametz. And that's a pasuk lo soichel olav chametz. Then let's go to the end. Toich samanoi. If in Pesach you're not allowed to eat or benefit from chametz, and if you do benefit from chametz, you get a chorus. A person dies young. Okay, so that's from a pasuk. The Chumash says, "Kol machmetzes lo yiseichelu." You're not allowed to have anything that's made from chametz. And then the Rabbi Yehuda had a pasuk that said, "La'achar zmanoi." After Pesach, if chametz passed through Pesach in a Jew's possession, there's a lav in the Torah that you're not allowed to have that chametz, because the pasuk says, "V'lo yochel chametz." It's in general, no matter what, you can never eat chametz that went through a Pesach. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Okay, Rabbi Shimon's opinion is that before Pesach, let's say Erev Pesach, even when you're burning the chametz, there's no problem. There's no isser min haTorah to eat chametz. After Pesach, again, there's no isser, according to Rabbi Shimon, to have chametz. Even if it was in a Jew's possession, there's no lav or isser to have that chametz. In middle of Pesach, obviously, he agrees that if you have chametz, you get a lav and you also get kares. Then we're going to mention, I think we've mentioned this before, that there is one more opinion, Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. Rabbi Yossi HaGalili holds, on Pesach, I can benefit chametz. If I own chametz, I'm not allowed to eat it, but I can give it to my dog on chametz, on Pesach. If you have a dog, you can give it to him or her. So that's Rabbi Yossi HaGalili's opinion. So let's go into the Gemara. We are Daf Chof Ches Obud Beis, the last line. Mani Masnisan. Let's just bring it up. Mani Masnisan, who is the author of our Mishnah? Again, our Mishnah said, Our Mishnah said that the chametz of a goy is mutter bahana, and a Jew is asur bahana. So the Gemara says, who is the author of our Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda. Do you want to say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yehuda? And Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that after Pesach is chametz asur bahana, chametz stoma kamar, afilu de goy. Chametz, Rabbi Yehuda said, even if it was a goy's chametz that went through Pesach, a Jew is not allowed to benefit from it. So Rabbi Yehuda has a pasuk, any chametz that went through Pesach, even if the chametz belonged to a goy, a Jew cannot benefit from it. So our Mishnah cannot be Rabbi Yehuda, because our Mishnah says a chametz of a goy is permitted. Rabbi Shimon, if you want to say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Shimon, now we go to the top of the page, Chavtes. You could it cannot be Rabbi Shimon. Why? Because Rabbi Yisrael Nami Mishra Kashari. Rabbi Shimon says even a Jew's chametz is permitted, right? Rabbi Shimon says there's no isser to eat chametz after Pesach. The Rabbi Yossi Aglili, if you want to say it, our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili. What do you mean after Pesach? A Jew's chametz is mutter. Rabbi Yossi Aglili is of the opinion, afilu toich samanoi, even in middle of Pesach, nami mishri kashari bahano. A person, there's no isser hanan on chametz according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Even in the middle of Pesach, I can give the chametz to my dog. So, who is the author of our Mishnah? Now, hold your hats. This is the most wildest chiddush in the whole Masechta Pesachim. Just the chiddush that Rabbi Acha bar Yankov, of course, it's not the halacha, but just to see what he says. Amar Rabbi Acha bar Yankov. Rabbi Acha bar Yankov says, La'olam, really, our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehudi. Our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that chametz that belonged to a goy is not only permitted after Pesach, but it's also permitted to eat the chametz of a goy even in Pesach itself. You see that?
Wow.
That's what he's going to say. Because he says like this, let's say I put a guy, your next door neighbor drops his bottle of whiskey in your house. He says, watch it for me. You're not responsible. So even if it's in your house, you're not over bal yirah. Why? Because the Torah says only your chametz you get bal yirah. But this is, it's not mine. It belongs to the guy. So just like the goy's chametz, you're not over bal yirah, you're also not over the isser of achila if it's the goy's chametz. So if, let's say that you would take the goy's chametz, put it in your mouth, and the goy says it's only yours after it comes into your stomach, no problem. Let's read that inside. So look at the point there is that this pasuk that Rabbi Yehuda has, imagine it says the word so'or. You're allowed to eat so'or. So now Rabbi Yehuda says, the yalav so'or da'achila misor da're'iyah. We learn Gzeir Shava from so'or of eating to the so'or of re'iyah. Ma so'or re'iyah, just like by so'or, that you're not allowed to have in your possession. The Torah says, lo yirah l'cho so'or, it cannot be yours. Sh'lecho iyat roya. You cannot have your own chametz in your house. If it belongs to you, it cannot be in your house. You can't see it. You can see somebody else's chametz, which means a goy. Or v'shel gavoyo if it belongs to hegdish. Or the achila, so also eating chametz. Shelacha, if it's your own chametz, then you can't eat it. You can eat the chametz that belongs to a goy, or it belongs to Hegdish. Look at Rashi. I have it in pink. One is permitted to eat the chametz of a goy, even to eat it. Even in Pesach, min haTorah. Obviously, the Rabbanan will say not to eat it, but according to Rabbi Acha bar Yankov's chiddush, that you could eat the chametz of a goy.
Now, that means if you today would eat a guy's chametz without his permission, but you would eat it on Pesach, you don't be over a Rabbanan?
You're not you're over. First of all, this Rav Acha bar Yankov's opinion, he regrets it later on in the Gemara.
But according to Rashi, it's only Rabbanan.
It's only Rabbanan, right?
So then
you're allowed to eat the chametz of a guy, even on Pesach min haTorah.
You get a lav, but no karish.
You get nothing, not even a lav.
Nothing, not even a lav.
Not even a lav. Umutter
Wow.
chametzi shel goy af b'achila v'afilu b'pesach min haTorah. And
So if I would go into Stop and Shop on Pesach, open a bag of cookies and eat them, it's just, I'm stealing something, but I'm definitely not eating chametz where I have a problem. But
well, technically,
min
that's what
min
Tosfos does.
haTorah.
Min haTorah. The Tosfos asks what you're trying to get at, which means how's the case possible? Brarish Rashi Muta Bachil, look at Tosfos. Tosfos says that's impossible because if you're stealing it, as soon as you take it off the shelf to steal it, it becomes yours. The in gozel migoy harechai b'achri yusod. So I'm telling you that if the guy would give it to you as a gift and says that it's really my chametz until it gets into your stomach, it's always going to be mine. If the gift doesn't become until it gets into your stomach, so you could technically, according to the way Rav Acha Bar Yankov's learning in Rabbi Yehuda, you can technically eat the chametz of a goy on Pesach. Now, if that's the author of our Mishnah, everything makes beautiful sense. Chametz shel nachri she'aval of a Pesach mutar bana. So really, the chametz of a nachri that passed Pesach is mutar bana. Even on Pesach, it's mutar bahana. That's a problem if you learn that way in the Mishnah. So that's what the Gemara is saying now. If that's how you learn the Mishnah, ubedinhu, really, the Boyal Mishnah, the Mishnah should say, it's even permitted to eat because not only are you allowed to benefit from the chametz of a goy, but you're allowed to eat the chametz of a goy. But the ID, the Tani, the Israel, since it has to say that a Jew's chametz that passed through Pesach is osir bahana, you're not allowed to benefit from. So that's why Tananami the goy. That's why it also learns the case by the goy is mutar bahana that you're permitted to benefit from it. But really, a goy's chametz you're allowed to eat, as we just explained. Uvedinhu, not only a goy's chametz is mutar to eat and benefit after Pesach, but even during Pesach. Uvedinhu, the Mishnah should have talked about the boy leila misni. The Mishnah should say that the chametz of a goy is permitted. Afilu b'toichsmani mutar bahana. The chametz of a goy is mutar even in during Pesach. I did the Tani in Israel achazmanoi, since it says that the Jew it talks about the Jews after Pesach, and the Jew after Pesach, even after Pesach, it's asur bahana. Tonami the goy lachazmani. So that's why the Mishnah says that that the Mishnah talks about a goy after Pesach, but really. The bottom line is when the Mishnah says a chametz nochri that passed through Pesach is mutar bana, really it's not only mutar bana, it's mutar ba'achila also, and not only after Pesach but even during Pesach, because our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda, and the Isser that it says lo ye'ochel chametz was only talking about a Jew after Pesach, but not a goy. A goy is not only after Pesach it's mutar, but even during Pesach. That's the wildest chiddush of the Gemara in all of Pesachim. That's one way to learn Pshat in our Mishnah. But Rava learns another way to learn our Mishnah. La'oiler Rabbi Shimon here. Really, our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Shimon. Now, if you remember, I just said, Rabbi Shimon holds that a Yid's chametz, a Jew's chametz, after Pesach is mutar. There's no Isser in the Torah, a Jew's chametz after Pesach. So then, why does the Mishnah say a Jew's chametz is asur? So Rabbi Shimon Knase Kanis, Chazal put a knas. They put a fine on wool bounds, so to speak. Really, it's not asur. But Hoyle, since this Jew who held on to the chametz, since that Jew is over bal yoroi bal yamatzeh, no Jew can benefit. Not just that Jew, not just Mrs. Woolbaums. Anybody who buys from them cannot benefit from them. It's a knas that the Chachamim imposed on them. So now we explain the Mishnah. Bishlama Rava, the Mishnah makes perfect sense according to Rava. Tani, that's why the Mishnah says, Shel Yisrael Asr. The Jews' chametz is Asr. Why? Because the Mishnah says, Shel Yisrael Asr Ba'ana, a Jew's chametz that went through Pesach Asr Ba'ana, because it says don't own chametz. And since this Jew went and owned the chametz, that's why there's a knas, there's a fine on him. So that's how the Mishnah makes sense according to Rava. Ella, but according to Rav Acha Bar Yankov, what's the Isser to eat chametz of a Jew after Pesach? What's the Isser? If the Mishnah goes according to Rav Yehuda, the law of eating of a chametz of a Jew after Pesach is because it says lo ye'ochel chametz. So that's the issur to eat Jews chametz after Pesach because it's daraisa according to Rabbi Yehuda. So if so, Rabbi Yaakov, the way Rabbi Yaakov learned our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. Mishum lo ye'ochel chametz mebayale. The Mishnah should say that the reason why I can't eat chametz or Pesach after a Jew's chametz after Pesach is because it says lo ye'ochel chametz, not because of lo ye'ro'el lecha. Answers the Gemara, mi savret asefa koi. Do you want to say that our Mishnah, that lo ye'ochel chametz is going on the end of the Mishnah, areisha koi? It's going on the beginning of the Mishnah. It's talking about it, that lo ye'ro'el lecha chametz is a reason why a chametz of a guy is permitted to benefit from after Pesach and even on Pesach. Chametz shagoy she'ovel of Pesach, it's muter bahana. Why is the chametz of a guy permitted? Because it says Mishum shenema lo yero lecha, and it says you're not now allowed to have your own chametz in your possession. Shelcha i'ataray. You can't see your own chametz in your own home on Pesach. Aval ataroya shelachem shel gavoy. You could see the goy's chametz in your house on Pesach, and even Hegdish's chametz. And now that you're not over bal yirah on the chametz, goy's chametz, the yal of sa'ar da'achila misa'ar da'riyah. Then we'll learn the issur of eating chametz from the issur of having chametz. Just like the issur of having chametz does not apply to a goy, so also the issur of eating chametz does not apply to a goy. So the way Rav Acha Bar Yankov learns this pasuk is going back to the beginning of the Mishnah, telling me why is a chametz of a goy permitted by Hana? Because only a Jew chametz is also to have in your possession, and only a Jew's chametz is also to eat. But a goy's chametz you're permitted to have in your possession, and you're also permitted to eat. Says the Gemara, that Rav and Rav Acha Bar Yankov are aligned with their previous reasons. The itmar, because we were taught a teaching. If you eat the chametz, this means chametz of a guy that passed through Pesach, l'divrei Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, would you get malchus? Did Rabbi Yehuda mean to include a guy also, that a guy's chametz also is over if it goes through Pesach? Rava Amar loika. Rava holds that you would get malchus, because when Rabbi Yehuda gave a pasuk not to eat chametz that went through Pesach, he meant not only a Jew's chametz, but even a guy's chametz. Rav Acha Bar Yankov Amar eino loika. Rav Acha Bar Yankov says you would not get malchus, and it's permitted, because Rabbi Yehuda only meant a Jew's chametz is usher after Pesach, not a goy. Rava Amar loika. Rava says loika. Lo yalef Rabbi Yehuda sar da'chila misar da'riyah. Rabbi Yehuda does not have that kazeir shava of sar from eating through the sar of having in your possession. Rav Acha Bar Yankov Amar eino loika. You would not get malchus. Yalef sar da'chila misar da'riyah. So he would learn the eating of chametz from having in your possession, seeing chametz. Just like seeing chametz, a guy is permitted, so also eating chametz, a guy is permitted. So it was questionable what Rabbi Yehuda meant when he said after chametz, after Pesach, you're over a lav. Is it just by a Jew's chametz or even by a guy's chametz? Rava said Rabbi Yehuda meant both, and Rav Acha Bar Yankov said no, only a Jew's chametz, but a guy's chametz not only is permitted after Pesach, but it's also permitted to eat on Pesach. And then now the Gemara concludes, Rabbi Yaakov regretted or changed his opinion. Where do you see Rav Acha Bar Yaakov changed his opinion? The Tanya, we learned in a brisa, a guy eats, let's say you have in your possession, let's say Hegdish has whiskey in your house, okay? It's Hegdish's whiskey, belongs to the Beis HaMikdash. And a guy eats it on Pesach, on Chol Hamoed. So Mo'el, he has to pay back, he has to bring a carbon, he's over the Me'ilah, and he has to bring a carbon, he has to pay a fifth more. The Yesh Oimrim Loimal, and some others say that you didn't get Me'ilah. You don't have to bring a carbon Me'ilah. Now, if you caused Hegdish a loss, you made a Me'ilah. You have to bring a carbon. So why does this opinion hold loimal? Hegdish of that belongs to chametz of Hegdish presumably you're causing hegdish loss. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, after Pesach, what could have hegdish done with this whiskey? They could have sold it to another Jew. So by you drinking it up on Pesach, you caused hegdish a loss. So why does this Yesh Oimrim say you don't have a me'ilah? So we're going to have three explanations. One of those explanations, four explanations. One of those explanations, Rabbi Acha bar Yankov, and because the way Rabbi Acha bar Yankov interpreted the explanation, we'll know that he regretted his opinion and took back what he said. Man Yesh Oimrim. Who is the Yesh Oimrim? So Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakonihi. It's Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona. Now, we know, if you're aware, that if someone, let's say, on Shabbos, tears a garment, right, on purpose, right, he does a chilul Shabbos, he lights a fire and burns down somebody's field, right? So he caused somebody else a loss, right? But we say that because Bezdin is going to put him to death because of skilis, v'chal Shabbos, he doesn't have to pay back the money. Kim lei b'derabbanei. Now, Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona said that the same thing would be if the guy burned down somebody's field on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, Bezdin is not going to kill you if you mechal Yom Kippur. What happens if you mechal Yom Kippur? You only get kares. Hashem takes care of you. Nevertheless, because you did such a big aveira on Yom Kippur, you would be, since you chayiv kares, that you and your children die young, so therefore, that you are pater from, it's misa b'dei shemayim, you're also pater from paying the money. So therefore, that is a unique opinion of Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona. So the reason why Yesh Oimrim say you don't have to bring the carbon, you don't have to pay hegdish back, is because since you ate chametz on Pesach, you're getting kares. You're going to be dying young because of it. So if you're getting kares, you're pater from paying money. Because once you get the big severe punishment, you're pater from getting the smaller punishment. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona. It's the opinion of Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa, Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona hoya oiseh es Yom Kippurim keshabbos l'tashlumim. He made Yom Kippur. If you do an aveira on Yom Kippur, it's the same type of aveira as you did it on Shabbos that you don't have to pay back. Just like if you burn down somebody's field on Shabbos, you don't have to pay the guy back because you chayiv schila. So if you burn down somebody's field on Yom Kippur, you're pater from paying him back because you're going to get kares. Hashem's going to take care of you. So mas Shabbos, just like Shabbos mischai benashi, you're liable for your life. Upater min atashlumin, you're pater from paying. Af Yom Kippurim mischai benashi, you're pater min atashlumin. So also Yom Kippur, even though Bezdin's not going to kill you, but Hashem's going to take care of you. So therefore, you're pater from paying the money back to the guy whose field you burnt down. So same thing over here. Since you ate chametz on Pesach that belonged to Hegdish, you ate chametz, you chayiv kares. Therefore, you don't have to pay Hegdish back. That was Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation. Rabbi Yosef says, he says, no, really, but Lamaisa, on Pesach itself, the chametz has no value. If the chametz has no value on Pesach, what did you steal from Hegdish? The only value is that it could be valuable after Pesach, but when you ate it on Pesach, he didn't steal anything from Hegdish. So in fact, why does the one opinion hold that you do get Mi'ila? You have to pay Bezdin Hegdish back. So he holds that really, this Brisa, the both people hold like Rabbi Yossi Aglili, that on Pesach you're allowed to benefit from chametz. So the Man D'Yama that says, so what's the machlokes? Why does one say you chayiv me'ilah, one says you don't chayiv me'ilah? Because those really bad, what could you do with this chametz? You could have, the guy who owns the kachim could have transferred the kedusha and fed the chametz to his dog. Can you do that with kachim? Rav Yosef pointed as a kachim la'achilim l'klavim komipalgi. Can you redeem kachim and say transfer the kedusha off the chametz of kachim and put it on money, and take the food itself and give it to your dog? Manda Oma Moal Kusavar, the one that says that you did a big aveira and you have chayiv to bring a carbon ila, because he holds poidin as a kachim, you could have redeemed this kachim, and lachil l'klovin, then you could have given it to your dog. So you did really steal something of value from Hegdish, and therefore you chayiv meila. The one that says you didn't do Mila, Kasava ain't poidim. You can't redeem Hegdish and then transfer the Kedusha and take the food and give it to your dog. That's too much of a bezoin of Hegdish. And it's darshan from Pasuk. So therefore, Hegdish themselves had nothing to do with this chametz. So therefore, you didn't steal anything from Hegdish. That's why loy mo'el. Another opinion is Rav Acha bar Rava Tanula. He taught lahash maitzim et made Rav Yosef b'hol lishana. The Kuli Alma, everybody holds a poidin as a kachim lachilim kavod. Bezdin could not have done anything with this chametz, with chametz, because you can't point the kachim and give it to your dogs. But everybody holds like Rav Shimon that after Pesach, Hegdish could have sold it to a Jew. But since it could only happens after Pesach, it's not really mumminous now. It's something that could become mummin. Is that called money? Is that on Pesach? Is it like you're stealing money? So that's the machlokes. If something could become money, is it considered valuable right now? The opinion that holds the me'ilah, he holds if something could become money, it is as if it's money now. So since this chametz, granted that on Pesach, Rabbi Shimon holds you can't benefit, you can't eat it, fine. But Rabbi Shimon holds that it could be worth money after Pesach. So by you eating it now, you're causing Hegdish a loss, albeit that loss comes after Pesach. That Mandi Amma holds, it's like you stole something from Hegdish, and therefore you get Me'ilah. Mandi Amma Loimald, according to the opinion that holds that you didn't do Me'ilah, he holds that even if it becomes money, but since it's right now not money, it's not considered money right now. Now, here's the point. Rav Acha bar Yaakov explains the machlokes. If someone eats the chametz, the Pesach, the whiskey that belongs to the kachim on Pesach, he explains the machlokes. The Kuli Almei, both sides hold everything. If it could become money, it's worth money. So if it could become money and it's worth money, then what is the machlokes? Then why does one hold that you didn't steal, that you're not moil? If they're arguing in Rabbi Huda and Rabbi Shimon, the one that holds that you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't steal from Hegdish, Rabbi Huda, he holds like Rabbi Huda, that Hegdish's chametz can never become mutter, because even after Pesach, it's still usher. And the one that holds it did do me'ilah, he holds like Rabbi Shimon, that after Pesach, it becomes permitted to benefit min Torah, so Hegdish could have sold it. Now, you see over here that Hegdish's, Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov said that even according to Rabbi Huda, Hegdish's, and that's the same thing as a goy's chametz after Pesach, is also asur bahana. Didn't we just say before that Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov held that Rabbi Huda held that chametz b'Pesach that belonged to a goy or Hegdish, there's no problem with it. After Pesach, it's mutter bahana. And here he says that according to Rabbi Huda, chametz b'Pesach that belongs to Hegdish after Pesach is also asur bahana. Ella, it must be hadabei Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov mehi. Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov retracted his teretz. In other words, there's no more teretz. Our Mishnah that says that a Jew's chametz after Pesach and a goy's chametz is permitted is not Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda holds that even after Pesach, a goy's chametz is also asur. So there's only one way to learn our Mishnah, the way Rava learned our Mishnah, that our Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon holds everybody's chametz is technically permitted. Just after Pesach, they made a knas for a Jew's chametz because he was over like bal yoroi by matzah. That's why a Jew's chametz is asur and a goy's chametz is permitted. And one more conclusionary thing. Rav Ashi said the Kuli Alma ain't poidin. Everybody holds by the chametz back to the kachim. Whether if you drank the whiskey that belonged to Hegdish, everybody holds ain't poidin. Everybody holds you can't redeem. If you can't redeem Hegdish to give it to your dog, right? You can't redeem that. The davar garim l'mamei lav kamamada. If it could become money, and it's even though it could become money, it's not considered money right now. Now, they're arguing if you hold like Rabbi Yosef Glili or Rabbanan. Man the one that says you did an avera, you stole something from Hegdish, to Rabbi Yossi, holds like Rabbi Yossi, because according to Rabbi Yossi, you're permitted to benefit from it, and that's why on Pesach itself you could have benefited from it. So that's why he holds like Rabbi Yossi. The one that holds you not Mila is Rabbanan. It holds like Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan hold that Chametz Pesach is Asur Bahana. So that's just a side point that the Gemara made. The whole point of bringing this whole story in is, although we have many different ways to learn what this brisa meant, but the way Rav Acha Bar Yaakov interpreted the brisa, we see he regretted and retracted his opinion about Rabbi Yehuda. And therefore, we only have one way to learn the Mishnah. Someone asks you how to learn this Mishnah, you just tell them, the chametz of a nechri and a Jew really technically after Pesach is permitted bahana. But by Jew, they made a knas because we hold like Reb Shimon. And by Jews, they made a knas because he was over the Bal Yirah. Let's just start for 2 minutes. The final Gemara of this daf. Amarav, new case. Now, let me give you 2 cases. Let's say you have a chametz tika matzah that got mixed up in non-chametz, in kashal Pesach matzah. A chametz matzah that got mixed up, that's called a mixture of min b'mino. That's called same type, got mixed up. And then you also have a case of min shlo b'mino, where the 2 different types. For example, you have a little whiskey that poured into wine. Okay? That's called min shlo b'mino. Now, Rav made a statement like this. Chametz bismani, on Pesach, if the mixture is bein b'mino, if it's a mixture of its type, like example, matzah got mixed up with matzah, chametz matzah got mixed up with non-chametz matzah, right? With Pesach matzah, so bein shaloi b'mino, or it's a little bit, it's not the same type. For example, little whiskey fell into wine, right? Asur, no matter what, no matter how, even if it's 100 times, it's still asur. Shaloi bismanoi, but after Pesach, if the mixture happened b'minoi in its type, asur, then it would be asur. Shaloi b'minoi, but if it's not the same type, mutter, then it's mutter. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Let's say you have a lot of whiskey that's chametz oval of a Pesach that fell into good wine. It's mutter. But Maya Skina, what are we talking about there after Pesach? If when you drink the wine, you can still taste the whiskey in the wine, shaloi bismane, shaloi b'minoi mutter. After Pesach, even if it's not the same type, why is it mutter? You could feel it, you could taste it. Ella b'mashahu. What we're talking about, okay, you don't taste it. After Pesach, if it's just a little bit of whiskey that passed through Pesach that fell into the wine, then if it's not, if you don't taste it, then it's permitted. Because once it's benois in tam, if it's more than the taste, it's let's say more than 1/60th, then it becomes bottle, nullified. That's after Pesach. But Rav also said chametz bismani, but on Pesach, right? He said chametz bismani, doesn't matter. Bein b'minoi, bein shaloi b'minoi asur. No matter what the mixture is, in its type or if not its type, it's asur. Rav the Tamei, Rav goes according to his reasoning. The Rav u'Shmuel the Amrei Tavaya, Rav and Shmuel both hold. Kol isurin shebetorah. Any isur in the Torah. Let's say basar b'chalav, or let's say basar b'chalav, or let's say chaylev and chaylev, right? Chaylev fats, non-kosher fats and kosher fats. B'minoi, if it's the same type, b'mashahu, then even a drop asers, a drop of non-kosher fats in kosher fats, no matter what the mixture is, it's always aser, because just even a drop, shaloi b'minoi, but if it's not the same type, let's say milk fell into meat, a pot of meat, then you look at nois and tam. Then you see if you can still taste it. If you don't taste it, then it's okay. Now, really, on Pesach, shaloi b'minoi should also be b'nois and tam. It should not always be yosef. If the whiskey falls into wine, then if you don't taste the whiskey, then it should, even on Pesach, it should be mutter. Rav made a gzeira. He says, bismanoi, shaloi b'minoi, even chametz bismanoi, chametz on Pesach, shaloi b'minoi, if not in its type, atu minoi, in its type. V'shaloi bismanoi b'minoi, asa karabi hud. That means like this, that on bismanoi, Shloi b'minoi, he made a gzeira that really it should be mutter. But he said that just like b'minoi, it's b'mashu, Shloi b'minoi will also be b'mashu because chametz is very strict on Pesach because it's aser b'mashu and people are not used to it. So we make a gzeira across the board, whether it's b'minoi or Shloi b'minoi, everything is aser, even a drop. But the Shloi b'minoi after Pesach, the reason why the mixture is aser, b'mina aser, is Rabbi Yehuda, because we hold like Rabbi Yehuda after Pesach, chametz is still aser. But the Shloi b'minoi, mutter. But if it's Shloi b'minoi, it's mutter, because the Shloi b'zmani, Shloi b'minoi, ataminoi, kulahai legazrinim. Since it's after Pesach, and anyway, it's not Kores, it's not, so therefore, he went lenient after Pesach, Shloi b'minoi, to say that it's mutter. So that is the opinion of Rav. Again, chametz bizmani on Pesach, no matter what the mixture is, b'minoi u'shloi b'minoi, aser. After Pesach, shloi bizmanoi, if it's the mixtures and it's minoi, it's aser, because a drop, even after Pesach, it's going to still be aser, because we hold like Rabbi Yehuda, chametz after Pesach is aser b'hana. Shloi b'minoi, if it's not in the same type, mutter, that it's permitted, because technically, as long as you don't taste it anymore, it's mutter. One more opinion, and then we'll stop. We'll stop by Rabbi Yochanan. Shmuel says the same thing like Rav. Shmuel says, chametz bizmani, chametz on Pesach, b'minoi aser. If it falls in its same type, it's aser. Shloi b'minoi, if it's not the same type, it'll be mutter. Obviously, if you can't taste it anymore. If the mixture you can't taste, the chametz. Shloi b'zmani, but if it's after Pesach, bein b'minoi, whether it's in its type, bein shloi b'minoi, whether it's not in its type, mutter. Doesn't matter what the mixture is. Why? Because, so he's explaining to you. Chametz b'mani b'minoi aser, chametz in its time, if it falls in the same type, it's also Shmuel tamei. Shmuel goes according to his reasoning. The Rav and Shmuel, the Amr Tavai, Rav and Shmuel both say, Kol Isurin Shabbat every Isur in the Torah, b'mina, if the mixture is just with its own type, Asurim b'mashu, it's always going to be Asur. It doesn't matter. The mixture will always be Asur, any Isur. Chaylev into Chayla, into fat, kosher fats, will always be Asur. So same thing, Chametz, no matter a drop of Chametz in its own type, will always be Asur. Shloi b'minan, in every Isur in the Torah, Shloi b'minan, you always look at Nois and Tam. Can you feel the taste? If you don't feel the taste, it's mutter. And therefore, even on Pesach, Shloi b'minan is also, will say Nois and Tam, and he doesn't make any gezerah. Shloi b'minan, Oto minam, we don't make it like Gozer. He's not Gozer. Shloi b'minan should be like minam, that it should be Aser b'mashu. And then, Shloi b'zmani, after Pesach, no matter what the mixture happened, bein b'minam, bein shloi b'minam, mutarin, it's mutar. After Pesach, any mixture of chametz is permitted, no matter what. Why? Ki Rabbi Shimon, because we hold like Rabbi Shimon. After Pesach, chametz is only asur d'rabbanan anyway. So once you have a mixture and it's batal b'roiv, so it's permitted anyway. So Rav and Shmuel have a twofold machlokes. Rav held like Rabbi Yehuda, Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon. Rav held you guys shloi b'minoi oter minoi on Pesach, and Shmuel holds no, b'minoi is only asur b'mashahu. Shloi b'minoi, then it's mutter as long as you don't taste it. This is a little taruvas over here at the end, but we'll go it over again tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
Shkaya.
Okay.
Very good.
Repeat it tomorrow.
Yes, I will. Okay, I'll have a chart, so it'll be easier. 1, 2, 3.
Enough.
Thank you.